A journalist by profession for a long time and professor of journalism at Marquette University, Paul Salcini crossed over to the creative writing. In just 3 years, he wrote 2 historical novels dealing with World War II Italy. The Cielo is the first novel, and The Sparrow's Revenge the second. I would like to welcome you and thank you for being here again with us.
Thank you very much, Vito.
You kept the promise that you would finish the book.
I have finished, yeah, I did.
Tell me, how did you cross over? I mean, from a journalistic point of view, it's not creative, but it's a lot of research, I imagine. But so how did you
when I wrote the first book, The Cielo, I really intended it to be nonfiction as a journalistic piece, but that was impossible. But I was so intrigued by the story that I decided to write it as fiction. And I found that there were some things that I could use my journalistic background for in writing fiction. Research, getting really immersed in a subject, observing, doing interviews. So all those things helped me in writing fiction.
Now, having written the second, which is a sequel,
right?
Basically it's the same story but enlarged, does it mean that you will stay with fiction?
I think so. I'm really intrigued by the process. I'm reading more fiction now than I used to. I am enjoying it more. I'm trying to study techniques of fiction.
And you also teach creative writing, if I'm not mistaken.
I teach a course. It's called Narrative Nonfiction Writing at Marquette. And it's literary journalism is what it is. And so they delve into great subjects.
And how has the family taken your new enterprise? Imagine you work all day as a journalist.
Well, I think they're excited about it. You know, I've gotten a lot of publicity and some awards for the first one, and so they're excited about this new career that I have at this age.
You know, it seems to me that both the novels could be made into a film.
Well, people have said that. They're written sort of in scenes, which makes it sort of cinematic. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's highly cinematic. You capture well the images, the timing, and you put in a setting that could be easily put into a film.
Thank you.
What I was impressed this time, probably more than the previous novel, maybe because it has elapsed some time, but it's the structure of this novel. To me, it seems has a symmetry. You see the boundaries as you move along, and so you see a structure of the novel, which with the previous one I did not notice, or I may have forgotten, to be honest with you.
Well, they are structured. The first one is written as a simple narrative. It goes 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. This one tries to tell the story of 2 different people. At first is one person, then another person, and then in the third part, it all comes together.
What I mean, maybe the symmetrical construction of the novel is that, for example, in the beginning there is an anniversary party. At the end, there's another anniversary party. We have 2 main characters, and one is a fascist and the other one is a communist, so the opposite. And then there's other things in between which keep a certain boundary, and I think you begin to see a structure well made, obviously, and I think it's... So, you said this was received well. You received several awards?
The first book, yes. This one is too new. It's in some contests, but it's gotten nice reviews. The first one has received a couple of very big awards, first place awards.
Maybe you could tell me a little story, very briefly, of The Cielo, so that we can connect with the new novel.
The Cielo is a story which was inspired by experiences of...
Cielo, by the way, means...
heaven, or sky.
Or sky.
Right. And that's the name of the
heaven because it's a beautiful place up there.
Right, and that's what they hope to be, but it's purgatory is really what
during
it is.
wartime.
Right. It's the name of a farmhouse where a group of villagers are forced to flee, and they're trapped there during World War II. It's a time when the partisans are fighting the Germans. And it was inspired by experiences of my cousin, who actually experienced all of this. So anyway, it's a story of these villagers who are trapped in the farmhouse. But then along with that is an actual massacre, the massacre at Sant'Anna di Satsuma, which actually happened. It was the second worst massacre in Italy by the Germans in World War II. 560 people were killed.
Talking of the structure, the first thing I noticed, for example, is at the beginning there are these five graders, five grader students,
right,
fifth grade students,
right.
And one of them says, I think the teacher, the main character, is a teacher, and that's the last day of class. He's talking about looking for people and not being happy, and one girl says, "You should not do what other people do to you."
Yeah.
And the other girl seems to say, "We should always doing good things to the people and not do." And to me, that is a boundary, because from then on you begin the whole novel as a way of proving just that idea of whether to revenge or not.
The idea of revenge and retribution goes through the whole book, and because it's a fascinating subject. A lot of novelists have dealt with it, and the moral issues involved are really very strong.
Yeah, psychological also.
Yes. Should I tell about the reason he's seeking revenge?
Definitely. If you like to do so, it's most appropriate, I believe.
Well, first of all, I didn't really plan to write a sequel when I finished this.
You told me that these characters were still in your mind.
They
did not want to go away.
I could not get rid of them. I wondered what in the world they were doing, and so I thought, how could I continue this story? And then I found a section toward the end of the cello. It's before the massacre, and the partisans have learned that the Germans are going to invade the village, and so they want to go. They want to go and save the village. Well, there's only a couple of dozen of them, and there's hundreds of Germans. And so they tell Ezio, Sparrow, the leader, let's go down there, let's go down there. And Ezio says, what are we going to do? We can't save the village. We'll all be killed, and then we'll be martyrs. So, so the Germans invade, and they kill 560 people, including his lover, Angelica. So, this is where I got the idea for the sequel, is this idea of guilt. He didn't go back to save, but he couldn't have, but, in his mind.
With the new novel, he is 10 years after.
Right.
And still he has headaches, he's not happy.
Yes.
He's frustrated that he cannot do something he wish he could.
Right.
So that is a symptom of the wanting to resolve a problem which was remained.
Right.
Now, obviously, the problem of retribution, revenge, or justice, bringing somebody to justice, during World War II or after World War II became a big issue.
Right.
I mean, there were international courts, just the Jewish people who suffered, and they remembered those people who abused them, and they went after, even though they felt that the law, the courts or the governments were not doing enough.
Yes.
The same way this fellow thinks.
Right. He thinks of, and even in Italy there were those kind of trials, and but not a lot. I mean, what the Sparrow's problem is that people have forgotten the war. They want to move on.
Well, he cannot, because he was closely involved with the massacre of Sant'Anna.
Right.
How many people were massacred just in one town?
560.
And
in one morning.
In one morning, maybe 20 minutes.
It didn't take long at all.
And there were other towns that were massacred at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he could not forget, and so he was looking for a resolution.
Right.
Possibly retribution.
If he could, if he found what he was looking for was the collaborator, the Italian collaborator of the massacre, because the Germans could not have done this on their own. There had to be people who knew where the village was, who could lead them there, and help them in some way.
So the blame was put on one of the fascists.
Right.
Local.